For people to break that broken mindset. Like we have professionals telling people you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life. You're going to be on this medication for the rest of your life.
Tune into this episode where we welcome Emma, our mind, body, spirit practitioner, and learn how to heal the inflammation stored in your body from trauma, emotions, and even injuries. Your mind is a powerful tool. Make sure you come along and learn how it affects your pain.
Just knowing that you can move out of pain despite what anyone tells you.
Firstly, I want to say a big thank you to you, Emma, for joining us and really getting into some more nitty-gritty facts about pain and inflammation. So, Emma, first and foremost, you are a mind, body, spirit practitioner who has a passion for helping people. So, hello, fellow human. But I want to go gun-ho. I want to go gun-ho first and foremost, and I know that you've said nothing so far. But you know me. Before we get into, what your actual passions are, I want to actually ask you a big question. Dealing with people in pain, which you do as well, and healing people, we know that society can keep people in that broken mindset. When pain is present, professionals like to give out tablets. When you're going to pain appointments or you're taking the tablets, you tend to get into the too hard basket, and people get wrapped up in, well, this is just me now. All right. And this question has no right or wrong answer. I just want to hear your perspective. What do you think is necessary for people to actually break that broken mindset?
Yeah, so thank you for having me, firstly.
Yay.
Obviously, a big fan of your work. I've used it myself and absolutely your approach. So I love that we get to have this chat.
Me too.
Yeah, so what's necessary for people to break that broken mindset? Like the problem is like you said, we have professionals telling people, you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life. You're going to be on this medication for the rest of your life. So having a really solid knowing, and sometimes it can take a while to get to this point, but knowing that you can move out of pain despite what anyone tells you. And a way to do this is to look for examples, like proof of people who have, like yourself, for example. Like you are a prime example, which is such a great thing about your program. Like you can actually say, I've lived this, I've been there, look at what's achievable. So I think it's really important to find people like that, and also to remember the times in your life when you weren't in pain, and know that this is proof that you've been there before. You can be there again. That's a really powerful point, because when people are in pain, me included, and I'm not going to go down my path. This is all about you. But we get so wrapped up in that pain now that you have no clear outing. You just go, hey, I'm in pain when I do that and I can't. It's such a draining, frustrated feeling. And I love the way that you said, remember when you weren't. Yeah.
And who you are when you weren't, because pain defines people.
Yes, absolutely.
That's actually beautiful. I love the way you said that. So, we'll get into more of that, but let's go with, Emma the practitioner. Let's start with your journey.
Yes.
Let's go there.
Okay, so probably a good 7-8 years ago, I was in a very, very different place than I was now, within my body, mentally, emotionally. I had severe depression, anxiety, very disordered eating, which I'd had for many, many years. And I was also in pain every day. I was trying to be a power lifter in the gym because I loved it. I really, really loved it. I loved the heavy movements. I felt strong. I formed a real identity around it as well. It was like Emma, the strong woman. And people knew. They would say, "Oh, Emma lifts heavy," and I loved it. I really attached myself to that. But I was in pain every time I worked out, which is obviously not ideal. So I would take Nurofen every day, which is horrible for your body. I went to psychologists, physios, osteos, chiros, doctors, specialists, and nothing really stuck. I was really in that mode where I was like, I give up. Like maybe this is just how my life is meant to be. And then I'm so grateful. One friend reached out. She saw how much I was struggling and she said, "Hey, I'm going to this 1 day free event." It was like a self-development mindset thing. Would you like to come with me? And I was just like, sounds a bit, I don't know, like happy, happy, joy, joy. But all right, let's give it a go. And honestly, like going to that event was the point where I saw hope. And I was like, I feel like things can actually change for me. So that kind of really started the momentum of everything. I did lots of mindset work. And then once I'd done a lot of that, and I was like, okay, I feel like I've reached my point with this. And like there's still a lot in my life I want to change and that isn't shifting. That's when I moved into the body side of things and the spiritual side of things. And I realized how important it was to bring them all together when healing yourself and like forming new ways to do things, new ways to cope. And yeah, I essentially decided I had one session with a podcast with a podiatrist.
That's us here today.
Podcast on the brain. Podiatrist. And she actually mentioned that my foot issue may be emotional, and I actually burst into tears at that. And I was like, she's onto something there. So that was kind of my pathway into it, and it just opened up this whole rabbit hole of things, and it's just grown and grown. And yeah, it's been
how awesome. You found a professional like that was so connected with emotions as well, where normally, when you go to these sort of appointments, it's, all right, well, we'll have orthotics, we'll have this, we'll have that. So that in itself is connection, baby, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, she wasn't interested in giving me orthotics. She's like, I could give you them, but what would that really fix in the long run? And I'm so grateful to her that she took the time to go deeper with it, because I know, like, when you're in that kind of industry, they are on a timeline. They've got half-hour sessions, they've got back-to-back appointments, and it's like push people through the door. And a lot of the time they don't, like, professionals don't go into that industry with that intention, but it can happen when they're under that pressure. So the fact that she just took like an extra couple of minutes to be like, hey, I think there's more going on here. She recommended a couple of people to me to follow on Facebook. And like,
how good's that? When you find that person, it's life-changing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you find that person that goes, hey, you know what? There's more to just that side of pain. There's more that, just that you've got hip pain. So that's that. It's, hey, this connection thing, you're actually disconnected.
Yeah.
And like I say to all, like yourself, if we were robots, we would have short-circuited.
Yes.
But we're not. We're human, so we keep going. So you find that other human that can actually connect you back together. I love it.
Yeah.
What was the point, do you think, that you decided, hey, you know what, I've got all this passion, I've got all this, want to connect. So what made you want to help other people? What was the, hey, I want to spread the love?
Well, I think I've always had that kind of personality and that trait within me. Like, I was the girl who in high school, I'd finish all my work early and I'd stand behind people in the computer room and give them massages. So
Where were you in my schooling years?
Wrong school, wrong state.
Wrong state, all right. Yeah. Jesus. No one did that at my school.
And people would tell me, like, you're really good at this. You should do this for a job. And I was like, okay, maybe I should. So
yeah,
I did my remedial massage diploma at a pretty young age. Like, I was 19, I think. So I think I've always been meant to do something with it. But really, this part of the journey and like this more recent, the business and everything like that was one of my best friends actually said to me one day, I'm going to resit my NLP qualification, which is essentially, for people who don't know, it's NLP is just all about how our unconscious minds organize themselves, how we communicate, how we form patterns, beliefs, behaviors, all sorts of things like that, and using it to help people. She was like, I'm going to resit it. I think you should do it too. I think you'd be a really great coach. And I was just like, really? Oh, okay. And I couldn't see it at that point. I honestly couldn't. And I went into the course thinking, I think I'm just going to do this for my own development. And then something happened at my job at the time, which was literally like, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason and the universe sends us signs. It was like the universe was just like, no, 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 like, don't you get comfortable in this corporate life again. This qualification you're doing is going to be like your pathway. You need to do something with this. So I did the course, and then I just kind of gradually started seeing people, bringing the body into it more, bringing the spiritual side into it more. So I think it was about 3.5 years ago, yeah, that I did NLP, which was
Yep.
one of the first things that I did. So
Perfect. And how life-changing is it when you actually have clients that you can see the results?
yeah,
You know,
it's huge.
it's huge. Right, so let's get into this. How can the mind, well, for people are going to want to know, and I want to hear your perspective. How can the mind manifest inflammation then?
Yeah. So there's a few areas I want to kind of dive into with that. Like there's a few factors, but I'll kind of like pre-frame a little bit, and I'll talk about the unconscious mind first, just because just for anyone who hasn't really encountered that term and what it means before. So I'll just quickly touch on that, just so we've got a bit of context.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so the unconscious mind is also known as the subconscious. The two terms are interchangeable. You can use either one. I tend to go unconscious just because it's what I've been taught.
Hang on, say that again. So the unconscious mind, say that again.
The unconscious mind is also known as the subconscious.
Subconscious. Ah.
Yeah, so the two terms are interchangeable. Yeah, same. People say just your subconscious is talking to you. It's your unconscious mind. So
unconscious mind, subconscious.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I learned that. Thank you. Keep going. Sorry.
So our unconscious mind, the best way to describe it is if you think of an iceberg. So you've got that little area on top, which is poking out of the water that you can actually see. That's your conscious mind. Okay. The area that's underneath the water, that huge mass, which is 10, 20 times the size of what's on top, is the unconscious mind. So a few different numbers floating around, but we'll go with these numbers just to pick a number. Yep. So your conscious mind is only responsible for about 5% of your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, your behaviors, your patterns, essentially how you live your life.
So that's under the water.
That's above the water.
Oh, that's above the water. Get onto it, Lex. Come on, stay on it. Okay, above the water, I've got 5%.
Yeah.
Okay, under the water. Geez, I've got a lot under the water going on.
Yeah. Oh, we all do. We all do.
Yeah.
What's going on under the water? So think of it like under the surface, the things that are under the surface that we don't think about because they're not right in front of us. So this 95%, this unconscious mind, is what's driving us essentially. It's what's driving the bus. It's, when you drive a car and you're like, oh, how did I get to that place? I don't remember half of this drive.
My life.
Yeah.
I happened to be yesterday. I'm driving along going, what? How did I get here?
It's a little scary sometimes.
A little scary when driving, but okay. So I'm sure there's a lot of people thinking the same.
Yeah, but essentially because you've done that drive so many times before and you've driven so many times before in your life, it's part of your unconscious now. It's an unconscious behavior because you don't have to think. Okay. It's not like when you're first learning to drive and you're like, okay, check the mirror, check the side mirror, make sure the handbrake's off. You go through that sequence with your driving instructor. That's all automatic now. It's all in your unconscious mind as a behavior and a pattern. So the thing with the unconscious mind is all of the not so helpful things live there as well. So all of the behaviors and the patterns that we've formed during childhood and beyond, like in our adult years too, that is where they live as well. So that's why sometimes I have clients who are like, oh, I really I want to do this thing, but something's stopping me, but I don't really know what it is. And when you dig deeper is when you discover all these beliefs, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I'm not good at maths. So they want to do an engineering degree. They've got this unconscious belief that they've formed at some point during their life that's actually stopping them from doing the thing they want to do. So all these things happening underneath the surface. And so then the unconscious mind causing and manifesting inflammation. Basically, I'll do a really quick explanation on neuroplasticity. So essentially, neuroplasticity is the brain's potential to change its structure and its function depending on the environment around it. So our brain is essentially like moldable. So this is newer research. Like this is not that, I'd say probably 90s, I think this kind of stuff has started coming out. So scientists once thought that once something happens in your brain, you form those patterns and those behaviors in childhood, can't change it. We now know that that's untrue, that we can change it, and that's the neuroplastic.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
So it's moldable.
Yeah,
that word
essentially.
has stuck with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, moldable. Yeah, moldable is a really good way to put it. But essentially, like it being so moldable helps to create or adapt or change or tweak little new neural pathways. So the neural pathways are what sends the signals from one part of the brain to another. And the neural pathways are responsible for forming new beliefs, new patterns, changing patterns. So neural pathways are really important because they're the thing that we change and adapt and kind of almost manipulate to be in a better way so that we can live a better life. And
it sounds so easy. It sounds so easy to change, but people don't like change.
Yes, it's true. People don't like change. Comfort feels good until it doesn't.
So is comfort, this is just for a question, well, I'm sure a question for me, but other people will be thinking it.
Yeah.
Does comfort sit, because comfort can be good and bad, right? Yeah. Comfort is comfort zone, what we know. Does that sit that's under the water?
Yeah, the comfort, well, we're conscious of more, actually, no, some people aren't conscious of how comfortable they've become. So yeah, I would say it is under the water in that unconscious area. However, we can bring it into our conscious by, having a conversation with a coach, someone who knows. Yeah. They're like, oh, like you're really sitting in that, you've really been sitting in that comfort. And the thing with the unconscious mind is one of its main jobs is to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And sometimes that safety means sitting in that comfort. However, we know that sitting in that comfort zone, there's no growth that happens there.
Yeah. Okay. So then like people, just like what we were saying, and just as a broad bubble, like people going in and out of their pain appointments, but not having change, having relief for a couple of days, but not having change, that's that's comfort zone because that has to change.
Yes. There's
in that aspect.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in that, which...
Sorry, I'm going off topic.
No, that's okay. I reckon I'll just finish my my explanation.
You've got the mic.
Just so I don't lose it, otherwise my train of thought and then it'll just everywhere. And then definitely what you've just brought up, I was definitely going to touch on later.
Perfect. Okay, good. Yeah. Keep going. You got the mic. Talking sticky.
So we've got these new neural pathways, like we can create these new neural pathways so we can change our beliefs to be more positive or more negative if we aren't directed correctly. Yeah. So when it comes to pain, your brain's plasticity, so the neuroplasticity, helps it form like a link between painful sensations and the emotions, feelings, behaviors in that moment and the environment. So essentially, your brain can form new beliefs around whatever pain you're feeling. Say you've like twisted your ankle, and it can form a link between that and the emotions that you're feeling. You twist your ankle, you feel angry, you feel upset, you feel disappointed in yourself. Say you did it while you were walking down the stairs. You might have thoughts like, oh, I'm so useless. Like, why can't I walk down the stairs? Like, God, like I can't even do a basic task. Like, these are all things that really, they simmer under the surface. And if you're not really aware of it, they can really take control. So
yeah, totally. I see that.
Yeah. So then essentially you're making that link between that pain that you've had when you've injured yourself or whatever the thing may be. And you've got all these things running in the background in your unconscious mind, all these thoughts, all these like, I'm so useless. I'm so, all that kind of
feelings and stuff.
Yeah. Like all this stuff brewing. And then you're in that moment, that link happens. So then you might have another situation which actually brings up that feeling, I'm so useless. It might be you forget to drop your husband at an appointment and he misses it and he gets angry and you have that feeling, I'm so useless. That I'm so useless in your body and in your unconscious mind is linked to the pain. So it can then trigger off pain because your body's clever, but it's also doesn't know the difference. It's like, okay, so this pain was what was happening when I formed this belief that I'm so useless. So that's what happens every time I think I'm so useless.
So like the ankle injury is a flare up then. We'll say the ankle injury.
Yeah.
But okay, so wherever the inflammation has been, those emotions can relive it basically.
Yeah, it gets there and reactivated when it gets triggered, essentially.
Yeah, right.
And
so
any trigger it.
Anything, yeah. So when people are stressed and pain gets enhanced, it's because of that stress feeling.
Yes, yeah.
And that's quite a broad feeling.
Yeah, they've got that link in their body, in their nervous system, that when I get stressed, my neck gets really tight. When I get stressed, I get headaches. Not everyone gets headaches when they get stressed.
No.
Like it is a common thing. There are definitely patterns. Lots of research has been done around it, but some people have it in their gut. Some people get like
that's right.
Gut
issue. Yeah.
So it depends on the individual. But yeah, this is all happening in the unconscious mind, essentially.
Right.
Until we're aware of it, it just kind of runs in the background. And we
scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're not aware of it.
When
you're not aware of it and it manifests that way. So then if you don't mind, let's go into, okay, so that's under the water. Let's go to the tip of the icebergs for the conscious mind. That's how the unconscious and the under the water manifests inflammation. So what do we do with the conscious mind? This is what we're aware of. Is that right? Or
Yeah. So some people are aware of the things that they do and say affecting their pain. Some people are not, but what most of it is just really unconscious, but the conscious part of it is when people start to, like, the doctor says, oh, so what, like, sometimes they'll say, what are you doing when your ankle flares up? And you'll be like, oh, well, usually it's a physical thing. Usually it's I was like, when I walk down the stairs or up the stairs, or when I go for a walk on this particular path, or when I walk uphill, or that kind of thing. We're aware when we have the pain. So the pain is what is in the conscious mind. That's like our signal. It's like bringing it from the unconscious to the conscious happens via the pain, because we can't ignore pain. It's our signal. It's our unconscious mind being like, hey, like something's happening here. Like, can you please pay attention to me? Like, I'm trying to get your attention. And whether that be because, you're wearing crappy shoes and you're going for long walks, or there is something emotional happening that you're ignoring, or there's a ankle injury that you haven't rehabbed and it's still causing issues. That pain is the conscious mind being like, I'm trying to get your attention.
Something has to happen. Let's work on this lace type thing.
And it's the choice of the individual to whether to do it or not.
So would you say, sorry, I'm just throwing this at you. So manifesting under the water, I really like these analogies. You know me, I'm an analogy kind of gal. Under the water, unconscious mind manifests things first and then brings it to the awareness on top of the water to then go knock on the door and go, come on, girl. We got to do something about this. So it could have been manifesting for so long with emotion. So the emotion side of it, and I love this side of it because I have done so much work on me, not just muscles and pain, but me as a human, and really how powerful it, like you're the professional in your field, right? How powerful it is to change me, and my body loved it. People might go, that sounds silly, but I mean it. Like my body just went, do you know? And I feel like because I did that work, I feel like my under the water iceberg, Oh, it's more connected. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not that the under the water iceberg will get smaller or anything like that.
No.
It's all still there, but it's more connected. You're more aware of it. What's underneath is more useful. It's not, you're not running all these stories about you being useless, you not being good enough, you being this and that. Your stories there are now of, I can, if my ankle flares up, I keep using ankle as a,
No, I love it because
because
we've talked about your ankle for a long
we've
time.
talked about my ankle. So it comes to mind.
It's there, it's manifesting. Love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially like all of your stuff underneath the surface now is, oh, if I get into a bit of pain, that's okay. I know what to do to help it. Like
awareness. Awareness is everything.
it is.
It's everything. And emotions. Do you know when people don't know what's the word? Reaction. They can be very reactive. That can heighten things too, right?
Yes.
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 Okay. So your work, when we talk about, your approach to things is obviously mind, body, spirit. But what we're talking about here is, would it be more emotions and reactions and awareness to self?
Yeah. Awareness is huge and connection is huge. Connection is something that I work on a lot with clients because we are, in a broad sense, we are all generally so disconnected from our bodies. We're living in our heads. There's so much happening up there. And, the way society is nowadays with everything at our fingertips, with mobile phones, with so many different social media platforms, with endless ways to distract ourselves from feeling what's actually happening in our body. It's essentially led to a society of people who don't really know what they're feeling in their bodies as a sensation at any point in time. It's just, I can tell you what's going through my head. Like I've got all these thoughts running through and rings around me, but you ask someone to go, okay, so where do you feel that in your body? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? And it's like, well, that's causing a physical reaction within your body. Where are you feeling that? What's that affecting? And that's one of the most important things, I think, because once you nail that and you really start to tune into what your body's actually telling you and giving you messages on, you can head off any potential injuries that are about to happen. You can head off any pain that's starting to build in the body because you can tune in and be like, hey, okay, so what's actually happening here? Like why is this gut churning, and why am I having such stomach pain today or for the last week or whatever? We can actually really tune in and be like, what's that about? Because the thing with your unconscious mind is as well, it has all the answers. They're actually all in there. Like we just have to access it.
I like that. I like that question that you ask people, where do you feel it? Because that makes them stop and think. And like you said, we are so disconnected, and in a lot of my clients, the main thing, teaching mind-body connection, the muscles respond, but we don't respond. And taking the time to think, where is it that you feel it? And people, no, this might be going off track. People don't like feels. People don't like emotions. People get scared of them just due to what's happened anyway. And like you said, social media just is all happy. Everybody's going to be happy. It's bullshit, basically. We're not all happy. But anyway, that's another story. That's me going off track here. But stopping and thinking about where you feel it is huge, because then you can, connect and not be so reactive.
Yeah, definitely. You're essentially learning to feel within your body it helps to regulate your nervous system. You're more connected to your nervous system is what's making you react, making you go into that reactive state because of something that's happened in your life to build your nervous system in that way. So if we can actually connect and figure out okay, what's actually happening here, and just be with it, just allow it to be there, not necessarily even having to change it in the moment, we can then we can soothe our nervous system. And
Yeah.
be like, hey, like I'm here, like I'm listening.
Yep. How good is that? You say it like it's so simple, but
Yeah,
it's a journey. It
It's-
definitely is a journey. And I've been on that journey for a while, and I love talking about all this stuff because I know how important it is in changing,
yeah,
just changing pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah.
What are some practical steps that our audience can take to explore this topic?
So start paying attention to your body. Like if you're in a stressful situation, when you get the chance to, like obviously sometimes in the moment, it's not practical to just be like, hang on, give me a moment.
Oh my God.
Give me a moment.
I'm connecting.
What in an ideal world,
Wouldn't that be good?
we should be able to do that,
Yeah.
but we're not there yet. We're not there yet in society. But
No.
say you are having an altercation with your boss and you walk away from it and you're like, oh my God, like I feel so stressed. That was really awful. Take yourself off to the toilets,
Yeah.
close your eyes, breathe for a few breaths, and just scan your body from head to toe and be like, okay, like what am I feeling? Like some really common ones are like tightness in the throat, heaviness or tightness in the chest, like a clenching or like a rolling or whatever in your stomach.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah, it can be other stuff. You can, once you do that more and more, and it's again, as we've said, like it's something that needs consistency. It really needs dedication. It's not something you can do twice, 3 times, 5 times, and you're like, yep, I've got it. I've got this beautiful connection. It really takes time. Consistency.
My big one is, sorry to cut you off there. My big one is, and I speak to people a lot about this too, waking up through the night and not being able to go back to sleep because you think about silly thoughts like, what am I going to cook for dinner? I'm going to take the kids, I'm going to do this, going to do that. You think silly thoughts. The thing that got me through that is breath work.
Yes.
And really connecting to my breath, which sounds silly, but I know that you're a big one for breath work, and we'll have another podcast on that because I've been asking so many questions. But that was that's been a journey as well. And it's not something that, okay, so here I go, Lisa, and I'm going to work on breath, and now I'm going back to sleep. That was a journey as well. And that really made me more connected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Breath work is it's a body-based practice. So it's getting you to focus on what's happening in your body and focus on that one thing, breathing. And people, sometimes when I say to people like, yeah, like sometimes I do a bit of breath work with clients, they're like, breath work?
Yeah.
You just breathe in and out. And I'm just like,
I know.
Okay.
But the big thing is like people don't take the breath. People don't breathe properly.
No.
Especially when we're stressed, we're manifesting emotions, and yeah, I do, and I'm aware of breath work and self-care, and I get in stressful situations, which we all do, and you shallow breathe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, so what are some common misconceptions in your industry that you would like to address? Like, we've already just touched base with a couple, but yeah.
Yeah, so because it is the industry that I'm in, the qualification I've done, which is psychosomatics therapy, it has a very spiritual element to it. Like it is based on the chakra system, which is essentially energy centers within our body. It is a spiritual concept, for want of a better term. And there are people who are just like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean this chakra is responsible for security, safety, everything like that? And they kind of go, oh, it's just a lot of woo-woo, and they think that there's no science backing it, but there's been heaps of research done and there's more and more coming out. Like this is starting to be the new thing. More psychologists are starting to do more body-based practices. Bessel van der Kolk is a pioneer in this kind of research. He's got a great book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Let me write that down. Okay, keep going while I write.
Yeah, The Body Keeps the Score. So he's done a lot of research and a lot of work with war veterans and how their experiences in war have manifested physically in their body. And yeah, that's kind of the first thing I point people to when they're just like, oh no, like, what do you mean? Like this my hips being tight means I've not had support and I'm not supporting myself. And, it being on the left is feminine. So, I'm a feminine. So, I'm not supporting myself. Like, what do you mean? That's a load of crap. And,
Yeah.
but some really simple examples of proof that I give people are like the really simple ones that are actually very accepted in society, like having a headache when you're stressed, having a tight neck when you're stressed, anxiety causing chest pain and heart attack symptoms. Like if those things are possible within the body, why not other emotions and trauma in other areas of the body? Like why does it stop with those things? Just because, a medical professional can acknowledge that, oh yeah, like, you go to them and you say, oh, my neck's been really sore. Oh, have you been under stress? That's one of the first things they actually do ask, most of them.
Yeah.
Why not something else?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. People having a closed mind to different therapies are the ones that are really hard to, well, pretty much stay in the pain cycle.
Yeah.
As hard as that sounds, or harsh as that sounds, people need to, especially people that even come to my program, which you know all about, because you've been in the program, and I don't touch base with all, as deep as you go into it, but you have to have an open mind when you come into my program because I'm looking at the body as a whole system. So people with a closed mind, they don't. It's very sad. Anyway, that's another topic. Let's go into what's the most rewarding thing that you, aspect with engaging your clients?
I think the moment where they have these penny drop moments where things just make sense, like with me and the podiatrist when she said like, oh, I think this is emotional, and I had that extreme emotional reaction of bursting into tears. You'll go through something and you'll be like, okay, so does any of this resonate with you in regards to your hip pain? And all of a sudden, like, they're just like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like in childhood, this happened and this was how I was brought up. So yes, I was brought up feeling like I had to really support myself because I didn't have anyone to do it for me. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, and it's quite validating because it kind of gives a bit of a reason. And then it's like, okay, so if there's a reason, we can help that. We can work on that. Like we've got a direction now, and that's really comforting for them. I know for me, it was really comforting. And when I was working with you, like you really helped me to join a lot of the dots as well, and step into how I work with clients on a physical level. Like once I know where it's come from, we can work on it and it can help to change their perspective on it and really be a bit more compassionate towards themselves, to be like, it's okay. This is like, you're in pain with this, but it's just something that's happened. Now we can work to help it.
Where the magic happens.
Yeah, it is.
And this is where, for me, working with people, different industry, but it's where the magic happens, and it's where that people are actually going to change their life.
Yes.
It's not just a Band-Aid. It's not just a pain appointment that people are going to go to and get relief. Like, I don't want just relief for people. You don't want to just touch the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. We want to get deep and we want to get to the roots and we want to actually change lives. And when you're explaining that, like I can see it in your eyes, you're just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because where you can start changing shit. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. I don't want clients to come and see me for a year.
No, that you're not making a difference then.
Yeah, I want them to be able to help themselves. And down the track, maybe they might have a little bit of a flare up, but then they will have the tools to be able to manage that themselves. Tools and awareness. And like me, you're one to educate people, and that's where the awareness comes into, which is why we're doing this today. But we could talk forever. We know that. We obviously, I will have you back on the podcast again, and we've got so many more topics. Obviously, after today's topic, I've got many more topics that we can talk about. But how can the audience get in touch with you or find you, or where are you on the web world? Yes, so I spend a lot of time on Instagram, and I am also on Facebook. I don't post as much on there. I'm also on TikTok, and I've got a YouTube as well, which I'm slowly building. Everything is under Emma.Louise with a Z 333. So that's
Do you have a website?
it's in progress.
Okay, no, that's okay. That's all right. I thought I saw something. Okay, so Emma, say that again. Say that again. Emma Louise.
Emma.Louise with a Z 333.
Okay, perfect. And that's on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Yeah.
And understanding, you know, for the people who are listening, you know, changing is awareness, educating, and finding that person.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
finding that person. The people are out there, whether it's you, Emma, helping people, or whether people come to me, it's just, you're not alone.
Yep.
Change is there. It's just seeking the right person for you. And
Yeah.
so thank you very much for coming. Thanks. We will do this again. We would talk for a very long time. You know, I'm so passionate about changing people and every aspect. So I'm super happy with what we touched base with today. But keep being you, keep changing lives. That's a wrap on yet another episode. If you love the info, don't be shy. Make sure to like, follow, or subscribe, whichever platform you're on. Once again, share this on your socials, whether it's Insta or Facebook, and make sure you tag me in it at Lisa McLean or at Rebuild Program. Whether you're in chronic pain, have a nagging injury, an athlete who wants to improve your performance, or just want to be more efficient and be a better you, then this podcast is for you. And stay up to date by liking, following, or subscribing to be notified of any new episodes coming your way. On that note, I'm going to leave you until the next time, but make it your mission to be more aware and to be a better you.